got one on? Oh, right.
Yeah, I've got 2 on.
That'd be all right.
Yeah.
Well, let me do this just in case. Okay.
Eddie Hearn, the main man himself. So good to see you.
And you?
I just never see you anymore. You're just that
Really?
busy. Yeah, I've been at every press conference.
Well, we're in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, so,
know what I mean?
first dibs.
Birmingham's flying. There was 2 press conferences
I
today.
know. Been spoiled.
Good. That
But
worked
at least
out.
you're here for this one.
Yeah.
Eddie, there's been so much going on. I'd like to start, if it's okay with you, with Sandy Ryan, a fighter that I've obviously followed from her debut. Saw her once again going out, taking a risk, leaving the country, not a city, training abroad, and then look at the fight on Friday and everything leading up to it.
Yeah, I mean, we had a show, obviously, in Sheffield on Saturday.
Yeah.
And Friday night, I set my alarm, for Saturday morning for 5 a.m. because Frank Smith was out there for the fight. And he said, looks like 5 a.m. ring walks. And I set my alarm, it went off at 5 a.m. And I text Frank saying, how long? And he said, oh, still 6 rounds into the fight before. And then I went on social media and I'm like, there's all these pictures of Sandy with like, red all over her. And I thought, what's that, the outfit? Because, she's like obviously got these funky outfits and stuff like that. So I was like, what's that? Anyway, then I read about it. Sandy Ryan attacked outside her hotel. And I'm like, what on earth's going on? Then I watched the video of her talking about it when she got to the arena. And to be honest, she looked emotionally shot to pieces. You could hear in her voice, she was like the tears, the anger, everything. I'm like, fucking hell, like, how can you even expect to fight? Then I spoke to the team, and I think some of her trainers said, look, I don't think you should fight. Like, it's very hard to fight when you're feeling like this. And she was like, no, look, I want to fight. Obviously, the show was there, ready to go. You don't get paid if you don't fight. She's been out training for 10 weeks. And when I woke up, probably my advice, having seen that interview, would have been maybe don't fight. But there was 20 minutes to go, and she'd made her decision when she got to the arena. And listen, fair play to her. And the fight was incredible. I mean, to fight like that after what had happened to her was quite remarkable. I thought it was a really, really close fight. I felt that if that fight was in the UK, we would have got the nod. It was that close. The fact that it was in the US, when the final bell went, my reaction was, I think we got it, but not sure we're going to get it.
Yeah.
And she lost a tight decision. The scorecards are really weird. If you look at the scorecards, they all scored for Michaela Meyer in the last 4 rounds.
Yeah,
Sandy
I saw that.
battered her. I mean, Michaela started well and Sandy finished well. And it's like one judge gave Michaela Meyer the last 4 rounds. I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyway, it is what it is. And unfortunately, she lost. Now we got to get to the bottom of what actually happened, because it's just the most bizarre set of events I've ever seen. And people don't also know about the flyering around the city that people did of, calling her all sorts of names with her picture up on flyers all over the city, all around the arena. So someone is up to something, and we got to get to the bottom of it. I mean, thankfully, the NYPD will get to the bottom of it because that's their job. But we have the CCTV footage. We see the people waiting in their car, leaving their car, attacking her, going back into the car. And none of it really makes sense. And it's a very small group of people that would be, and will be the culprits, if you like, for such an attack. And I don't think it's right at this point to just point fingers, even though it's obvious who to accuse. But innocent until proven guilty. Let's get to the bottom of it. We've got all the information we need. The truth's going to come out. And when it does, it will be very damning for a lot of people. But it's our job now to not take the foot off the gas and just make sure we keep the pressure on. Because, this is the kind of thing that the police or something like that, eventually they'll just go, oh, well, we've got other fix. No, guys, this is a serious matter.
Yeah.
And I hope that Top Rank help us with that matter, because it was their show. If this happened at my show, I'd be concerned about the treatment of a fighter that was on my show. Not even if it wasn't my fighter or not, So, and the WBO. I feel like the WBO need to order an immediate rematch. 1, because the fight was very, very close. But 2, look at the situation surrounding it. I mean, it's totally unfair. So, very frustrated for Sandy, and already in talks for another big fight for her. You know, we had plans going into the fight if we won, and we've got plans having not won. But you know, I was very disappointed that she wasn't able to perform at her best, because it was impossible to do so once something like that happens.
Contingency plans, when I know that I've been to a few of your shows and your fighters, home or away, are heavily guarded by security. May I ask, it just seems as if Sandy was left vulnerable. I guess that may be something to do with Top Rank, because that was the promoter, but it just didn't look like she had any wraparound security.
Yeah, I think difficult, because like after the fact, after something like that happens, you automatically look and say, well, there was no security there. They should, you know, but you know, I'd like to think that a main event fighter was accompanied to the car, especially when they're in a foreign country to them, if you like. She did have a number of team with her. You know, Frank Smith was there,
Yeah.
Brian Peters was there, the training team was there. So it wasn't like she was just on her own. But for me, it's the promoter's job to ensure that the fighter gets from the hotel to the venue safely.
Yeah,
I would also say we've never experienced anything like this before. So, but
and hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It is. But at the same time, some things you like. I've seen the footage; it's very clear. There's multiple angles, and you know, there's a car that is just waiting outside the hotel with its hazard lights on. And as she comes out, the guy gets out. He runs up to the group, throws the paint over her, runs back in the car, and the car speeds off. So one thing we know for sure, it's not some bloke walking down the street in New York just going like this with paint. This was a 100% targeted attack on Sandy Ryan. And there's a very small group of people that could be in the frame for that. You know, I'm going to be a detective, but don't take a rocket scientist also to realise like who could have done this. And it's people that have a grudge, or people who wanted to disrupt her performance. So there's a very small minority of people, and you know, we'll make sure that we get to the bottom of it. Also, these people that have done it are not geniuses, and they've already made a lot of mistakes in what they've done, which will enable them to get caught. So it's not going to end well for them at all.
Can I ask then one thing? You've mentioned potentially a rematch. You spoke to the WBO. Me, just being me, I thought there might have been a rematch written into the fight anyway. Any reason why there wasn't?
Yeah, every deal is different. You know, I see this quite a lot. I guess we get the
label.
Mickey taking, they've always got rematch clauses. But sometimes an offer gets made and the offer doesn't come with a rematch, but it comes with a better financial reward.
Right, okay.
Or the company aren't willing to do the rematch, but they'll pay the money for that specific fight. So in this instance, we had an offer from Top Rank, which was a very good offer financially for Sandy. We pushed back and said, what about a rematch clause? And they said, it's not possible, because we don't know if we could commercially do the rematch.
Okay.
We don't know, we don't have the commitment from the broadcaster for the rematch. So unfortunately, this is the offer. And
Take it or leave
pushed
it.
we pushed the money, and we got to a point where it was like, we think we win the fight. So, and to be honest with you, like, in female boxing, it is a little bit different to men's boxing in that, like, what are the options for these fighters? Whether it's Chantel Cameron, whether it's Michaela Meyer, whether it's Natasha Jonas, that they need dance partners. And especially now, Sandy is a big name. So we're already talking, before this fight, we were talking to George Warren about the 5v5, Chantel against Sandy. Which is a tremendous fight.
Yeah.
And obviously now, because of particularly the exposure around that fight, that still has a huge amount of value. So that talk continues. I believe the WBO will order the rematch, whether that's immediate or whether that's for her next mandatory. And the rematch is a big fight, because there's a hell of a lot of beef. And with this playing out, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what they're going to unfold in this investigation? So, yeah, watch this space.
Watch this space. Talk about Anthony Joshua, your number one fighter. The both of you have grown together over so many years. I can talk to you about how you felt about it, because I know that you're actually attached to him. He's like your baby. One thing I want to ask is, you put out a statement post-fight, and I get it, he's trying to be positive, but I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, how do you really feel? I get it. He was, he was on this zen, let's sing Kumbaya together, we'll come again. But I'm thinking, really? After that, is that how you really feel?
AJ's a very proud man. He also feels like he has a responsibility to show people that
Always look
you
on the
can
bright
bounce
side.
back. Yeah, but you can bounce back. You mustn't be disheartened by defeat. And I think that's important to get across. But also, it has to hurt, and it definitely did hurt, and it's still hurting. But I feel like when you've tasted anything before, the next time you can deal with it a little bit better. So like the Andy Ruiz defeat
Yes.
was a really hard pill to swallow. The Usyk, I think the Usyk 1 defeat was really difficult, and Usyk 2 was really difficult because it was out of frustration of I've given everything and I didn't win, and I just don't understand how, and whereas this one was like, I made a lot of mistakes, I gave it everything, and I lost. And you never want to lose multiple times, but when you do, it's definitely less of a difficult pill to swallow because you've experienced it before. And he's very much the one thing that surprised me more than anything is every defeat that he's had, he's wanted the immediate rematch straight away, and that's a fighter's instinct. Sometimes after a while, sit down, mindset changes, plan changes, and when he lost, I felt to myself, I think maybe we should just wait and just have a break.
I saw you say that.
And he said, no, I know I can beat this guy. I want to rematch Dubois. Okay, mate. Speak to you in a couple of weeks. Let yourself calm down, blah, blah, blah. And every time I've spoken to him since, nothing's changed. And he's always said, I said, 3-time world champion and winner. It's not about the belts. It's not about the belts. He realises that he has a straight shot at the World Heavyweight Championship within this rematch. And if he doesn't take that shot, we talk about the Fury fight and this, but that Fury fight, 1, may never happen, and 2, if he doesn't beat Usyk, which is a very good chance, it won't be for a World Heavyweight title. So AJ's sitting there going, I'm not sure I can walk away from this challenge.
Okay.
Which is a very dangerous fight, but he's definitely leaning that way. If you just said to him now, you have to make a decision now. He goes, rematch straight away. Won't even, for us, we're we need this next move is probably the most important of his career. And so as a team, we have to get it right. And that really comes down to Ben, AJ, the others, to say, can we beat this kid? And everyone's saying 100%. And I feel if you feel like you can win this fight, you have to take the rematch. And that's what AJ's basically saying. I know I can beat him, so let me at him. So it's going to be interesting to see what plays out in the next few weeks.
You know him better than anybody else. How do you see him beating Dubois this time, Eddie?
By being the boss in there, and by being physical, and by being dominant. For some reason, he thought he could box Dubois off the back foot, and probably one of the worst ideas going. That with Dubois, the one thing you never do is give him the confidence, yeah? And what he did early in the fight was he gave him the confidence. I mean, the right hand that he took at the end of the first round would have stopped most heavyweights. And listen, AJ showed a great chin in the fight and a lot of heart. But by giving him that confidence, and all of a sudden, when AJ started to find his legs and back him up a little bit, you could see the fight, this could change here. Unfortunately, he tried to end the fight and made a mistake. But that's what you do. You break Dubois down, and eventually he'll either not fancy it anymore or he'll get knocked out. But you've got to weather that storm. So what you have to do in that early part of the fight is be the boss. Stand up to him. Push him back. Not let him attack you against the ropes. And that was the mistakes that he made. So we know we can win the fight. But it's an even more dangerous fight now than it was going into that fight. So you've got to be mentally right.
Right, we are in Birmingham. I can't not talk about this.
Yeah.
These two, you've got Sonny Edwards, Galal Yafai, a lovely rivalry, something that goes back to the amateur days. Getting this fight on and pulling it on in our city. Very grateful because this could have easily gone to Sheffield.
Yeah.
It could have, but
I think, it's a difficult one because I look at the fight cities and I think that Birmingham right now is much more vibrant as a fight city than Sheffield.
Yay.
Sonny is not from Sheffield.
Oh no,
Really.
he's in London.
But he lives there and he does sell well there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but obviously I feel like this is a fight that the city will get behind. This is a fight that's compelling. This is a fight that's interesting. And I look at the fighters that we've got locally and they move a lot of tickets. You know, Conor Walker will do 700-800 tickets. You've got Hamza Uddin will do 400-500 tickets. You've now got Troy Jones now fighting on the card, like English light heavyweight champion, will take 400 tickets. You've got Cameron Vong against Gwyn. Great little fight on the undercard.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, Ibrahim Spider will do 400-500 tickets. So you've got already, you know, plus a big main event. And we haven't been to Birmingham with a big main event, really, since Amir Khan. Like, that was the last time that we actually brought a notable main event to Birmingham. We've always had great shows, but it's always lacked the big fight at the end. And I think this is a fight, especially after today, that people will get very excited about. And it's a great fight. You know, it's a pure 50-50 fight. Obviously, the history and the brothers, etc. But it's a compelling fight and one that you have no idea who's going to win. And both guys believe they're the favourites in the fight.
And that's what we love about boxing, Eddie. I know there's a queue of people here. I always appreciate your time. Next time live, we're going to do YouTube.
Do you know what?
Live
My aunt watched our YouTube live.
What did she say?
She loved it. She said it's so random because
Is this Auntie Joan?
Auntie Dawn.
Dawn, that one's about the swearing. She doesn't like the
Yeah,
swearing.
she doesn't like the swearing.
Hello, Auntie Joan.
Dawn.
Dawn.
Joan was her mum, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, that's quite weird. Yeah, so she says...
Call me Septic Peg.
She said... I don't know. Oh, this is it. Good interview with October Red. Nanny would be proud. Keep it real. Yeah. I was like, how do you watch all these interviews? Yeah, there you go.
Tell her thank you very much. So you've got to do it again then.
Yeah. Shout out Auntie Dawn.
Shout out Auntie Dawn and Grandma.
And Grandma Joan. She's not with us anymore, but shout out Grandma Joan as well.
Well, you know what? With boxing, all this spirituality.
Yeah. She was my biggest fan, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Love it.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.